voted for a candidate endorsed by the KKK. For the rest of your life, you have to know that you voted the same way as the KKK. No ifs, ands, or buts. No doubt about it. Which I told him she was chiming in and agreeing because there's no way around it. You voted for hatred, you voted against women, against the gay community, against Mexicans, against blacks. And you want to call yourself a Christian? I don't give a fuck if you go to church 23 out of 24 hours. You're a mean motherfucker. And I hope that they come after you someday when you're not expecting it. Like this motherfucker tried to do to me. You ready for the tape to crash? You want to see the video crash?
Hey, it's me, Kelly. What the fuck, guys? It's already the election, which is really crazy. It feels like the shortest and the longest campaign at the same time. I just wanted to get ready with me to go vote, get my ass to the polls. So that's what it is. It's also Halloween today. Spooky. Yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna do my makeup and talk to you guys. And that's that on that. Honestly, I am going to be talking about politics. I don't usually do that on this channel, but I have in the past. When I really do believe in something, I'm gonna speak up. And that's kind of how I am. Like, I'm not gonna talk about like things I don't really care so much about, but if I do care about something, you will hear me talk about it. So that's why we are here today. No, I am not going to convert anybody who already voted for that man, you know. And I know that a lot of people already voted for that man, and really nothing's gonna stop them. But I just wanted to speak to the girlies who have the same beliefs as me, and also the girlies who aren't so sure, don't know if they want to vote, don't know who to vote for, are believing in lies, like that type of thing. So yeah, but I just want this to be a comfortable vibe. I got my pajamas on, just hanging out with your girl. So yeah. First of all, I don't really hold anything against anyone who is a Trump supporter out of ignorance, I guess. Like, and this is gonna sound crazy, but like people who are super sheltered, I kind of get it why they would support that man, or people who have like just grown up in the church and conservative ass families, fundamental ass families, like sure. I don't blame those people. People who are believing in lies, you know, I don't really blame those people. I know there's an argument that says like, oh, well, they should just go educate themselves, but people are trying, and you can only do so much with the resources you have. So I don't blame people who are conservative for those reasons. I blame people who are conservative because they have a lot of hate in their hearts. Those are the people who I don't fuck with. Because if your main reason for, you know, being a Republican or a conservative or whatever the hell is because you don't like women, you want to control women, you're against the LGBT community, which is, how are you going to be against it? Like, they're here. You know what I'm saying? Like, LGBT community, they're here. So how are you gonna, you know, I don't believe, well, they're here, you know? Yeah, so anyways, I don't blame people if like those are the reasons upbringing. Yeah. Yeah, so if that's why, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but also you should. I encourage you to go outside your little community and challenge yourself, and you might find there are different ways to look at things. Yeah. That being said, people using religion to justify being a conservative or voting for Trump need to grow the fuck up. And I say that with my whole chest because if you actually read the Bible, Jesus is against everything you guys are for, you know? He said that if there's a foreigner, let him in. If someone's hungry, go feed them. Which is why it's just like so jarring to me, I guess. The hypocrisy. Because people want to use the argument like that, you know, Jesus is against the LGBT community when he never said nothing about that. And like the whole abortion thing, well, it's always been a thing that you have to go with the greater good. And so if that's the health of, you know, the mother, then obviously we want to save the mother. Yeah, and then same with like free will. When Jesus died on that cross, it was for our own free will, you know what I'm saying? And so you really just have to let people do their own thing, and you can't like judge them because Jesus didn't judge us, right? They say he will return to judge the living and the dead. But until that day comes, it's not on us to do that, and it will never be on us to do that, you know? And so I just wanted to speak to my Christians for a minute there because, you know, I'm just disappointed in you. I don't belong to a church, and I did say in my last video I'm not Christian. But that doesn't mean I don't believe in God. You know, that doesn't mean I don't believe in the like teachings of the church and all that. I just don't always align with the people there because I think they can be hurtful and judgmental, you know? But lately I've been going back and like reading the Bible and listening to my spiritual music and you know, just trying to really just dig deeper, you know, just like I said to conservatives, dig deeper. I'm trying to do the same thing. And what I'm finding is that it is a peaceful God, it's a loving God, who gave us our free will through the sacrifice of Jesus. And so, yeah, if you want to go around judging people and not loving your neighbor as yourself, which is the only thing that he has to vice, mind you, that's just a slap in the face. You're just like spitting in the face of Jesus. Like, that is crazy, you know? So whatever. You can go ahead and quote out of context Bible quotes all day long, but the one you cannot remix is love others as you love yourself and love God, right? I think it's flipped. But you can't, you know, there's no other translation of that. So, whatever. That's that. Yeah. I just think it's important. Oh my gosh, I'm not wearing this, so I guess it's fine. I just had to like throw something on because usually I do my makeup topless. But yeah, no. So I was just thinking lately that we need to check our own people. You know, I'm not gonna go call out other communities, but we should call out our own. You know, we can't just let things slide, you know, we can't let ignorance slide, we can't let racism, homophobia, like things of that nature, we can't just let it slide, you know. We need to clock each other, You know, don't be afraid to clock somebody. I'm going to try to contour. This is going to be interesting. Oh yeah, I opened the door. I had to get my sad little Paris Hilton palette that is hanging on by a thread. Girl, just go get some bronzer. Like, get what you need from the store, throw it away. Yeah, I would. But the thing is that I did, and this is kind of like my emergency makeup palette, because I did, and then I dropped it on the floor and it crumbled, and so this is what I'm left with. Yeah, and I'm really bad at contouring too, guys. That's why I walk around with my egg head. But anyways, so what was I saying? I don't even remember. I just know that this election is really scary. My dad was texting me this morning. He's like, I'm at the polls. Like, this is freaky. I don't want to go back in time. Yeah, that's one thing that's like really crazy here, is that he's not wrong. Like, it's not an exaggeration. We will be going back in time. Like, some of the policies and like things that Trump was like talking about would, by the way, he's like delirious, so I don't really take what he says too much. But he was saying, yes, we're gonna go back to this thing from the 1700s. Do we really want to go back to the 1700s? No, we do not. I saw this other TikTok. I've been chronically online, by the way. That was like, would you go up to your grandma and punch her in the face and say, I don't care what you've been through, right? Because our grandmas and our grandpas too, and, you know, just the people before us, our parents, you know, my mom, when she was born, I believe it was the same year, you know, they made it so everyone could vote, right? But before that, people of color could not vote. Crazy. In all 50 states. All 50 states. My mom, you know, like, that's just the generation right before me. That's crazy. I think that interracial marriage was still not legal in all 50 states when she was born. Like, our parents, like, this is what they have seen, you guys. They've seen some shit, and we're just letting them down. Us young people, if we choose to silence ourselves and not stand up. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. So yeah, so then there's that. A lot of, like, I've seen girls like joking, like, I don't want women's rights, like, whatever, but I'm not saying this will happen, but I'm not saying this won't happen. They're talking about, and this is the people you're trying to vote in, mind you, or some people are trying to vote in, are like talking about how women will not be able to buy a house or, you know, lease an apartment without a man. It'll have to be your father or your spouse. I'm laughing, but what the fuck is that, you know? Women will be like, oh, you know, I don't want women's rights. Like, I would prefer if a man is gonna do everything for me. Fair enough. But people die. People die. You're widowed and now you have to ask your dad for permission to buy a house. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. People die. Some people don't want to get married, which is fine. You know, we're not gonna make you get married if you don't want to get married. Some people just prefer to live that single life, and that should be fine, because we are in the year of our Lord 2024. And so if you don't want to be in a relationship, you don't have to be in a relationship. You don't have to rely on a dude, you know, to do things for you because of our freaking grandmas. You know, even if you have conservative, like, grandparents, you know, and especially if you have conservative grandparents, this is not the party that it was when they were our age. Like, it's totally different. Like, the people who worked hard to make it, like, I don't know, not a laughing stock, that's a slap in their face. Because, you know, I think that Trump supporters have really made a really bad name for conservatives. Like, before, I think I could, you know, have a conversation with a Republican, and you still can, but not as much, so I guess, and it would just be like a normalized conversation. But now they're out here saying all types of crazy things. And this is not my first rodeo though. This is my, okay, the first election that I remember was Bush and Kerry, I'm pretty sure. Bush and Kerry. And I remember being in the lunchroom, you know, in my elementary school. And I will never forget this one girl. She said that her mom said that George W. Bush got us into this mess. He will get us out of it. This would have been the re-election. But I remember at home, my parents were John Kerry. So that was just kind of confusing to me. So I asked my parents, I'm like, what's the difference between a Republican and a Democrat? And my dad said Democrats want to help each other, you know? So that's the influence that I grew up with. They never really said anything too crazy about the Republican Party. I didn't hear a lot of hate about them, but they definitely like went left. But both my parents are professors. So yeah, obviously that's like what I grew up around, but they never told me you have to vote blue. They never, you know, nothing like that. You know, it was never like you have to believe what we believe, but they gave me the information and, you know, let me do with it what I was gonna do with it, which is this, I guess. But yeah, so I'm not gonna say I don't think for myself, because I do. Very much so, a little too much. And there's some things that, you know, over the years I have told my parents about, you know, like their beliefs regarding like LGBT stuff, like, you know, since they're older, they didn't really know about like transgender people or like non-binary people. They were not educated in that way about pronouns and stuff like that. And so, you know, I kind of got to tell them what was up with that. But yeah, and you know what they did? They listened. They listened to what I was saying and they took it into consideration. Whatever. So yeah. Tea. So yeah, that's anyway. So back to what I was saying. So I remember that election. I don't know how old I would have been, but then I remember like the next one would have been Obama and John McCain. And that one was crazy because I was in middle school at the time, and for whatever reason, they had us do a mock election, which is crazy. And so everyone like voted, like kids had to cast their ballot and see, you know, who would win according to the school. And I remember this kid who was like, John McCain, John McCain, John McCain, you know. And I think my school did vote John McCain, but America voted Obama. And I remember sitting there with my dad, seeing those election results, and we were just happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just kind of like, okay, this is good. And then the next election would have been Obama and Mitt Romney, I think. And you know, we were still Obama, whatever. I couldn't vote yet. But I remember thinking like Mitt Romney's kind of weird, like, but like looking back, like I would vote for Mitt Romney over Trump. Yes, like Mitt, like come on now. Come on now. I would love that man to make a reappearance and run again, even though he's old as hell, but they all are, right? I would take him. Yeah. So then that was that. And then the first election I was able to vote in was Hillary versus Trump. And I remember I was fired up. I was ready to vote. I was excited to vote. None of us thought that would happen. I swear to God. I think we all like were kind of nervous. Like, what if he wins? But I don't think we thought like he actually would. Like that's my remembrance of things is that I was just like kind of like, oh really? Are people serious? Yeah. I think I might have voted for Bernie in the primaries. I wasn't all like Hillary, but I got behind her when the time came. And so yeah, I was excited to vote for her. I think I did absentee ballot. And I think I voted in North Dakota. I don't know if I voted in North Dakota or Minnesota. I'm not sure. To be honest with you, it might have been Minnesota. I'm kind of leaning that way, but I don't know. Or if I voted in North Dakota. I don't remember. Because I was going to school in Minnesota, but I had still my parents' address in North Dakota. So a lot of college kids vote in their home states. I don't know though. I don't know what I did. But I remember that election. Me and my best friend were up crying because we were like, "What the fuck?" Like it literally was one of those moments that you do remember forever. When he came up on that stage and he looked like a villain, you know, in like a movie. Like the way he came up on that stage, it looked like he was about to announce The Purge or something. Like it was just freaky, you know. So I remember that was unfortunate. And then I remember, so he was president, and then the next election would have been Biden and Trump. I was kind of not thinking Biden would win, honestly, because we already had Trump. The supporters are so annoying. Whatever. Just loud and wrong. So I really was not getting my hopes up. I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But I still voted for Biden. And then he won. And I remember because I was at work. When I worked at the Smiling Moose. I remember we were just it was a really quiet day. And my coworker was like, "Hey, Biden won." I was like, "What?" And I think both of us didn't really know where each other stood politically. So we were like, "Oh." And I was like, I'm happy about this. He's like, "Oh yeah, me too." But yeah, so anyways, that was good. We thought things were gonna be good. Until this motherfucker wants to run again. So that's it's like we can't get rid of him. He's like a fucking cold sore. I don't know how else to tell you this, but it's crazy. So yeah. When they announced that Biden was gonna step down, I was nervous. Like I texted my people, I was like, this is bad. Even though like Kamala was running, like I've seen some nasty things, you know, online over the years about women and women in power and how so many people are still anti. And I still feel this way. You know what I'm saying? Like I am cautiously optimistic because I am supporting her. But I don't know if America's ready for that at the same time. you know, but I don't want to be negative and I don't want to spread things like women will never, because that's not the truth, I hope, but, you know. Okay, now here's the thing. People are saying like, oh, women are only voting for Kamala because she's a woman. No, that is not the truth. I have not heard one person say that they're only voting for Kamala because she's a woman. But I have heard people say that they're not voting for Kamala because she's a woman, right? So you're either ready for it or you're not. They better get ready, because I will tell you this: every company that I have worked for that was female led has been a better environment for me to be in. Yeah, I would just say that about women in power. And then people are like, oh, well, you know, women shouldn't because they're so emotional when they get their periods. That woman is like 65 years old. I'm just saying, I don't care to talk about that so much, but she old, so I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be all right. But yeah, anyway, so that's that. I mean, I'm still in support of her. A lot of people also who would normally lean left are concerned, and rightfully so, about the lack of support for Palestine. And so they don't want to vote because their logic is, I'm not going to vote for someone who is going to, you know, fund this genocide. But the thing is that you're already funding it if you pay taxes. I hate to tell you, first of all. Second of all, I think, hopefully, Kamala and Tim will at least listen to the protest. Trump and his people will shut it down. We might not have the right to protest as much anymore with him in charge. So I just think it's not a good idea to risk that. And I think also more people will benefit in our own country with Kamala as president. And I say this because the things that have been said, you know, out of the horse's mouth. Trump said that he's gonna defund schools that teach history and teach about slavery and Native American history and everything like that. Defund them so that, you know, kids don't learn about that shit because they're not learning about it at home. And they want to just erase that nasty history. Which we can't do, otherwise things just repeat, right? Things just repeat, which is awful, you know. They're gonna take away the Department of Education. Okay, you know what that includes? That includes FAFSA, Pell Grants. Do you want to go to college? Have you gone to college? Wow, you benefited from that. That's crazy. You know, free lunch for kids is something, you know, they do after school programs. Gone. You know, and if you think that Trump is for the hardworking people, but he's gonna get rid of these programs, you know, that help hardworking people who want their degrees, hardworking people who need their kids in school so they can work. You know what I'm saying? After school programs, get rid of that. So now these hardworking people have to, you know, stop working, go get their kid, find childcare for them, which will be harder under this administration. Getting rid of Head Start, preschools. He said that, like, there's too many, like, abusive people who work in Head Start or whatever, so then it's like, just get rid of the abusive people, you know, require more training to happen, require more background checks to happen, but don't get rid of the preschool. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm sorry, but that is crazy, you know? Free breakfast for kids. God, like, just feed the children. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are children. Why do we not want to benefit children? Crazy. I don't get it. Because if you're so pro-life and pro-children, like, support them when they are here, not just when they are unborn. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy. I don't like talking about abortion. Like, I just simply don't. But it's a big deal. Like, it really is, because you might think, oh, I never need to have an abortion because I want kids and maybe I don't believe in that and whatever. You could be thinking that, and that's fine. But the thing is that you never freaking know. You never freaking know, right? Like, people get abortions who want kids. You know what I'm saying? But they're not having a healthy pregnancy, and so they need to terminate. Well, that option is gonna be off the table. So that means that people are gonna have to go through these unhealthy pregnancies that are not gonna be viable at all, and they could die. You know, which is fucking crazy. That makes me like so just like nervous, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm at that age, right? My friends are at that age. It's like, I don't want them to croak. I don't want myself to croak, you know, and it's already happening. People in parking lots, because the hospitals are too scared to treat a miscarriage that's, you know, putting the woman into septic shock because they can't just, you know, eliminate the situation. I'm sorry, but they can't do the procedure because it's the same as abortion. Like, it's awful. And you have to understand that nobody who gets an abortion wants it. It's just what is necessary. So I don't know. Like, that makes me really like concerned. And then there's like, even in some states, like a woman, like, she was gonna have a stillborn, right? And she was like 40 weeks, and they didn't allow induction because they, you know, in the eyes of the law, was looked at as like a late abortion, which is not the truth. But it's just crazy, you know? Yeah. And so these laws could also get rid of induction and C-sections and just like normal ass pregnancies, because they're gonna come for that. Why? Because they want women to suffer. Crazy. I don't want no kids in a country that's gonna make me suffer and make them like, it's just crazy. And so yeah, this is why it's important. Even if it doesn't feel important, you have to look outside yourself, and think about other people. Like, even if you're a man or you're old or you're not wanting kids, like, you still have to think about people other than yourself. The reason I bring up those examples is because I think it does hit closer to home when you think about, oh, well, how will this affect me? But it will, even if you think it won't, you know? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. That's concerning. They're also gonna get rid of, this is all Project 2025, by the way, which may or may not go through, but the problem is that the people you are voting for want this. You know, they want this type of thing. They're not gonna get all of it, hopefully, but this is what they want, right? And so you're voting for the people who want this. Okay? That's crazy, because this is what they think of you. So they want to keep women's reproduction separate from men's in terms of like education too, and like, I guess treatment. And so at a place where a woman is receiving treatment, they're not supposed to receive men's, I guess, which goes into condoms. So they're not gonna be allowed to suggest that women use condoms because that's for men. It's in it. I seen it in writing. I read it with my own eyeballs. I will send you a link. but they're not gonna be allowed to tell women about condoms. Like, luckily I know about them, but not everybody does. Think about teenagers, and they're saying that they might even start IDing for age for condoms. Excuse me, these are the people who need to be using them the most. Like, come on now. Like, this is just asking for a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. They're also trying to get rid of porn. Thank you. And make contraception harder to get. I believe even IUDs might be at risk. Because you can get an IUD, if you didn't know this, as a form of emergency contraception. I don't know a lot of people who are doing this, but maybe in extreme cases. Yeah, because it will prevent a pregnancy from happening, but only in a really short window, right? Really short. Yeah. So I think those might be at risk as well, but I don't know. And I don't think they would be eliminated completely, but you never fucking know. Yes. So that's fun. So basically what they're doing is they're trying to make recreational sex illegal. Illegal or unattainable. Probably because they're not getting fucked themselves. But yeah, so it's gonna be harder to get condoms. It's gonna be harder to get birth control. Which, that's another thing about birth control. It's like, they've done so much for men, for their crooked dicks that I see on the TV. And birth control sucks. Like, it really does. Like, there's still so many, like, side effects, and it's awful, but this is not a video about that. I still wish we had better options, honestly, but the thing is that we have options, you know? And that might be taken away. They're taking away porn. I think I said that already. That doesn't really concern me, but it might concern other people, so let me have an open heart. Like other people, like I just said. Like, that is crazy, you know? And so these are the reasons why I'm voting for Kamala, because I just can't risk this shit. It is a lot of, they're taking this away, they're taking that away, blah, blah, blah. So what is Kamala adding? Well, she's gonna try and get that tax credit for children and newborns. Okay, that's good. And try to, you know, have taxes be not so bad for the people on the bottom, and make the people on the top actually pay their taxes. And see, that's the thing, is that a lot of Trump support, I'm trying not to say a lot of, this is just really from what I've seen on social media, the people who are speaking out on social media. But yeah, so they're saying like, they're going like, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. But you have to understand that they're gonna get rid of overtime. Yeah, so no tax on overtime, because there will be no overtime. Social Security you're never gonna see, because you're gonna raise the age of retirement as well, which is concerning. So just have fun working until you die. Honestly, I'm not even hopeful about ever being able to retire. And yeah, Kamala is saying there is going to be a cap on prescription drugs, a cap on how much these big corporations can charge for things such as groceries. A lot of people would say, well, the economy was better when Trump was president. That's because he had inherited a good economy from Obama. That took a while to get there too, because if you think about it, like, it's so easy to jack your credit, but it's hard to get it back up. That's kind of the same as the economy. It was jacked, we were in a recession, and we got it back up, and then Trump came in, wiped it back out, and so we're still, you know, we're still building up. COVID was a problem. We took a hit from that, definitely. But we are still under Trump's tax system. And so you have to understand that it is not Biden's. People want to say, oh, Trump wrote me a check during COVID. No, he did not. That was the representatives in Congress who passed that, because, you know, Democrats were still majority at the time. They passed that. So you can thank them, because Republicans were trying to not have that. That's crazy. And then you're going to just take all his credit because he wrote his name on it. That is crazy. So yeah. I'm going to say I'm going to put my people over my pocket though at this point. Because, you know, it is a life or death situation for a lot of people. Oh, also they're saying like immigrants, they're gonna round them all up and like, you know, mass deportations. But the thing is that how? Who's gonna pay for this? Then what's gonna happen to all the places they're living, all the places they're working, all the jobs? I guess they're taking our job. No one wants to, you know, they're not. Like, here's the thing is that a lot of the jobs they're doing, people who claim they're taking their jobs wouldn't even apply for. And second of all, who cares? Yeah. And that's how I feel on that one. People in the Midwest and like where I live, North Dakota, they're like, illegal immigrants are crossing. No, they're not. They're not. We're literally landlocked, like in the middle of the country, and like, what are you talking about? You know, you can go like days without seeing a person of color. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. Yeah. So anyways, that's how I feel about that. They make it sound bad when they say like, oh, illegal people, rapists and like murderers are coming into the country. Not really. And there's already rapists and murderers in the country, on your block, you know, living next door to you. Like, just open your eyes. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. The transgender thing is really crazy because it's all lies. Like, tell me when you saw a transgender person, or a man pretending to be a transgender person, I guess what they're saying, in the women's bathroom. When was this? Like, let me know. You know, besides the social media post, when did you witness this? When? I've never seen this before in my life. Crazy. Second of all, they're talking about women on men's teams. Okay. Like, I'm sorry your kid's not good at sport. I'm just kidding. That one to me is crazy because it's like really so few kids are out as trans. It's really not that many at all. Jazz Jennings, oh, okay. She's still petite. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is so crazy. Let the kids play the sports. Like, that's literally it. Like, it's Little League. Like, it'll be okay. Like, I swear to God. You know, that's just like saying, like, some of us have more natural abilities anyways. Like, shorter people are good at gymnastics. Okay. Well, does that mean they're not allowed to play because they have a more natural, you know, ability? People are saying the same thing about like Michael Phelps with his like large like wingspan. It's like, okay, he is naturally more fit for swimming, so is we gonna like be in an uproar about that? Like, it just kind of is what it is. So I mean, I'm not too concerned about that. They want to bring up the boxer again. She is a woman, you guys. She's a woman. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about that because it is a lot of ignorance there. But yeah, no, they're just saying the people who are saying those things are just saying those things to fearmonger. Unfortunately, they can't even name a transgender person besides Caitlyn Jenner. So yeah, that's how I feel about that one. They're talking about gender affirming care, like the stupid thing Trump said about them doing it at schools. They're not, or they're teaching them about that in schools. They probably are not. And if they are speaking about transgender people, which I worked in middle school, there was never a topic of conversation. It would be so in a way that's educational and not like, oh, this is what you should do. You should do this. This is how you transition X, Y, and Z. No, none of that. If anything, it would be a conversation about acceptance and accepting people for differences. So yeah, but even those conversations are not being had because people are afraid. So anyways, that's me addressing the rumors, I guess. But yeah. So anyways, those are the reasons why I am voting for Miss Kamala Harris. You can disagree with me, like that's fine, but just be respectful about it, because I was trying to be respectful, you know, the best I could. Sorry if I called you ignorant, but if the shoe fits. But yeah, no, so anyways, that's kind of that on that. Like, it just really sucks. I am very excited for this to be over. And to the girlies, the women, like, let's just go ahead and vote, and see what happens after, see what type of Underground Railroad abortion situation we're gonna have to do. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But hopefully we don't get there. Preferably we don't get there, because like, what the hell? But yeah, what the hell? I feel like this was kind of all over the place. But this election is crazy and it's personal. And, you know, some people will be like, oh, well, you know, you care too much about social issues or whatever. But that's because the social issues are what really affects us the most, in my opinion. You know, because that's more of our like day-to-day life. I think, I hope I got all my points across. The main thing for me is really healthcare and education at this time, because some of y'all be dumb as hell. Just kidding. But seriously, they need to be teaching these things in school, and that if you get rid of that, that's crazy. And then also, if you get rid of the access for everybody to have an education, that's crazy. The elitist thing to do, really. And then yeah, also the schools do a lot for the kids, but they need the funds to do that. So we need those after school programs, we need that Head Start. And yeah, I'm just gonna take us to church one more time before I go cast my vote. But this is the parable of the sheep and the goats. Matthew 25 verses 31 to 46. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and the angels are with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? when did we see you sick or in prison or go to visit you? The king will reply, truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, scram, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison and you did not look after me. They will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and did not help you? He will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you do not do for one of the least of these, you do not do for me. Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteousness to eternal life. Thank you. Let's go take the trash out. I think I'm here. Hopefully, we about to see. I'm a little nervous. So they almost did not let me vote because of my address on my ID. So basically the address on my ID is like my parents' address because it's the most like permanent. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll switch apartments, but their address I always can send mail to, right? And so yeah, so I didn't know which one I had registered to vote with, but the thing is that North Dakota does not require voter registration. So it really shouldn't matter what address is on my license. But they had asked, they said, what's your address? And I couldn't remember if I had put down my parents or mine. So I was like, it's either or it's, you know. And she's like, well, which one is it? Which one do you sleep at night? I'm like, I sleep wherever I'm at, okay? Sometimes I'm at my parents' and sometimes I'm not. And so, like, honestly, I don't know what to tell you. I guess she was quizzing me on myself and I failed. But yeah, she's like, do you have a phone? Like, can you go in and change it right now? So I changed it so that the ID and the voter registration matched. And then I was like, there, it matches. And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, I was just like, I don't know what to tell you. And then she was like, well, I hope your vote goes through, girl. But anyways, I voted. It was okay. Yeah.